Yeah, here we go now, baby. Right back in to the action for another day of the week. Welcome to the Mega Football Friday edition of Before You Bet. Aaron live right now on the covers, YouTube and X channels. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you smash that like and subscribe button right down there. So a great big show planned for you guys today. Brad Powers will be by in a matter of seconds to get into some of the big games this week and tonight in college football, get into a couple of his best bets as well. Jingles will be right after that. Him and I ripping through our best bets in the NFL for Sunday. We have 8 bets combined, then an NBA segment to close things out. So a little bit of a mixed bag for me yesterday. Went 2-2 with my picks, 1-2 on Thursday night football. Was kind of off on my assessment, thinking we were going to get an over. Jake Elliott could have helped me out, missing kicks left and right in that one. But Jon Metler and I combined to go 3-0 in the NBA. So technically that is the return of the Sweet Boys. And Jingles, he swept the board with his NFL picks there yesterday. So a pretty good show. It pays to watch before you bet. So great big show here today. Seeing some action in the live chat already. If you guys want to participate in the show, it is very easy to do so. Hit up that live chat on YouTube, on X. What do you like in college football, NFL, NBA? Who are you taking in this stupid boxing match tonight? Jake Paul, Mike Tyson. Yes, I call it stupid. And yes, I will watch. Does that make me stupid? Maybe. Probably not. I will watch. I have a Netflix subscription. Okay, let's get into some college football. Let's go to our guy down there in Las Vegas. Brad, you going to watch this boxing match tonight?
Nah, there's 4 college football games.
I like it. All right, straight and to the point. So speaking of that, okay, so we got 4 games tonight. 3 spreads inside of 5, UCLA and Washington on Fox. I usually throw this out to you more open-ended, saying anything stand out tonight, but something really stands out to you. You have a best bet to add to your best bet card here for the week. What are we looking at?
Yeah, we're looking at Houston +2. I think Houston wins this game outright. I like the current form for Houston in their last 4 games. They've won 3 of them outright as an underdog. So why? Is it something fluky? It's a fundamental change in their team. They switched quarterbacks. Zion Chris has given them a little bit more accuracy, and also, can run a little bit more than their opening day starting quarterback. So I like their current form, and it's also a play against an Arizona team that's covered 1 game this year, 1. And they have failed. It's not like they've been close. They have failed to cover by an average of 15 points per game, dead last in the country. Houston +2 outright.
Okay, I should have mentioned this off the top. So Brad was on Monday's show. He gave out 2 best bets, Kansas +3.5 and Michigan State +3. A little bit of CLV for Brad as of right now. Those are each tucked inside the key number of 3 right now. I see them both down to +2.5 here. As of this morning, if you want the analysis for those picks, you can head over, watch the replay of Monday's show. Okay, Brad, let's get into the Saturday slate here. Not a whole lot of sexy games, some games of note. We do have a big one going down on Saturday night, though, in prime time. It is a must-win game here for Georgia. Favored by 9.5 against Tennessee. You took Ole Miss there last week. Like I said, must-win game for Georgia. If the season ended today, they would be outside of the college football playoff. They're not covering the spreads, though, Brad. They're 1-7 against the spread in their last 8. Too many points, or do you think Georgia can rise to the occasion here?
I think we're going to see Georgia's A game. We've seen it twice this year, Clemson and the Texas game. That's the only 2 games they've covered, and one being the opener, like you mentioned, only 1 cover in their last 8. I lean Georgia. I lean under at current. So let's combine the 2 to get a better bet, in my opinion, would be, let's go Tennessee team total under 17.5. Last 3 years with Heupel versus Kirby Smart, Tennessee with better offenses than this year, averaged 13 points per game in those 3 matchups against Georgia. And now we have this year a Tennessee offense that's been struggling. On top of it, we have a quarterback in Nico Iamaleava, questionable status. I think he's going to play. But let's see if he's even close to 100%. I like Georgia's defense to keep this one, under wraps a little bit as far as that Tennessee offense, under 17.5.
Okay, one team that is covering spreads, those Colorado Buffaloes. How about them? 7-0 ATS streak coming into this game tomorrow against Utah. Utah's beat them in 7 straight games. Much different teams this year, though. I think that's fair to say. Colorado, a big favorite here, 10.5. An early start in this one, total of 45. What do you think of this matchup?
Yeah, how about a 10 a.m. local start? That's
No kidding.
I guess all for TV. Colorado good for TV. And I think if you're back in Colorado, it's going to be a good day. They're going to make it 8 in a row as far as covering. I'll lay the 10.5. It's a lean. It's not one of my favorite bets, but how could you not like what you've seen from Colorado? It's weird to me. They got a bunch of press last year when they didn't deserve it. Now they deserve it, and it's kind of quiet. They're probably going to have the Heisman Trophy winner. They're likely to get to the Big 12 championship game where they'd probably be favored over BYU. So lots looking up for Colorado. Not the case for Utah. I mean, this team, I don't know how, I'm not going to make a bowl game. Put everything into last week's game. The rival against BYU came up short. They're down to a third string quarterback. They're starting tight ends out for the year. Not much like here for Utah.
Okay, let's talk Texas, Arkansas. Texas favored by 12.5. I'm pretty sure that's been bet down as well. A total of 57.5 for this one. So outside of the games against Georgia and Vanderbilt, Texas has just steamrolled everybody this season. 7 wins by 19 or more. Arkansas coming off an awful performance, especially on the defensive end. They lost that by 32 to Ole Miss. All the makings of a bloodbath here. What do you think?
No, I'm part of the Arkansas money. I was part of it when it was above 2 touchdowns earlier this week, and I still lean that way. I like the spot for Arkansas off a bye. Particularly, I like that they're getting healthier. Quarterback Taylor Green, who missed the second half of the Ole Miss game, he should be back. Jaquindon Jackson, their outstanding running back, who missed the last 2 games for them, looks like he'll be back. Texas, I know, has beaten a lot of teams, but who have they beaten? Joe, Oklahoma and Michigan. Those teams are fighting for their lives to get to a bowl game this year. They played one decent team, Georgia. Not that Arkansas is Georgia, but I'm not buying Texas right now as far as their portfolio. So I'm leaning Arkansas, who did already pull an outright upset over Tennessee at home this year.
Okay, before we get into a couple more best bets, I want to ask you about this game at Wrigley Field. It doesn't look like it's going to be competitive, but maybe there will be some interest because it's at Wrigley Field, I guess. But we have Ohio State, a modest 28.5-point favorite against Northwestern. Low total, 44. So Ohio State coming off a 45-point win. Do you think they're going to be motivated to win by margin here? Or is this the potential of maybe a look-ahead spot to play Indiana next?
You just used that's the handicap. And whenever you got a big favorite, what is the motivation from margin? I don't see it here for Ohio State. Not only Indiana on deck, that big game, but Michigan as well. I don't see them wanting to put one on Northwestern. Northwestern's got a solid defense. Could be some weather there at Wrigley Field. We'll see what the field conditions are. I lean Northwestern plus 28.5.
Okay, the big dog there. Okay, let's get into another big dog. We have 2 best bets here to add to the one you gave out off the top of the show. Boston College, you like them to cover. They're a 19-point underdog against SMU.
Yeah, I'm going to fade the market move this week. And the market move being that SMU's taking a ton of money because Boston College starting quarterback Thomas Castellanos entered the transfer portal. He quit the team. But he got benched. He got benched for poor performance. It's not like he was playing well and decided to leave. Last week got benched. They were in a tight ball game, and then he gets benched, and the offense finally starts moving in the second half. So I don't look. He's the backups a downgrade, but not a 5-point downgrade where this line was sitting at 14.5 earlier in the week. Sure, adjust them down a couple points, but not 5. I'll take the extra value here on BC playing an SMU team that. Probably playing a little tight. They got to win out to get to the ACC championship game and with their playoff hopes. And I don't like teams in that spot.
Okay, last but not least, we go to a favorite this time. You like Washington State favored by 10.5 against New Mexico.
Yeah, it's a play against New Mexico who's going to be, from all intents and purposes, I'm hearing a couple walk-ons starting in the secondary. That's how banged up they are against the high-powered Washington State offense. I'll lay the 10.5 here with Washington State. I made the number 13.5 even before the injuries.
Okay, something light, something fun here for your Friday appearance. We always end these spots with these. Who's the most famous person you've ever met?
Had words with would probably be Regis, and I'm probably aging myself because probably people watching this probably who. Well, at some point I would say he's probably one of the more famous people on TV, probably late 90s, early 2000s.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. So Regis Philbin in a Notre Dame game. And then if you're talking about having like a long form conversation, like a half hour plus, be Cowherd. I've had a couple long conversations with him.
I've met a couple of heavy hitters. Wow. I have met the first one. People will be like, oh, who cares? Celine Dion when I was in my early 20s. My girlfriend won a trip to see one of her concerts, and we got to meet her beforehand. Not much of a thrill for me there. I also met Kanye.
Oh, wow.
At a Subway restaurant, of all places. This was before he got really big. I think it was right after his first album came out. He was in town opening for the Rolling Stones, of all people. You can look it up. They did a big show in Halifax, a big outdoor show. And we were at Subway in line. And my buddy is nudging me. And he's like doing this, like motioning, like, look who it is. And I thought he was being a smart ass. And I'm right by him. And it clicks. It's like, holy shit, it's Kanye West. And my heart is just jumping because I'm like, I got to say something to him. I'm not a big Kanye fan by any means. And I was like, I got to say something to him or I'm going to regret it. And so I introduced myself and I said, I'm a big fan. And he introduced himself back to me. He said, hey, I'm Kanye. He was very modest. And then, you know how they used to call him sandwich artists at Subway? He was calling her a sandwich genius. So he was very like charming in that moment. This was before, everything went off the deep end for him. But that was.
Yeah. I would take yours over mine. So. Even Celine, I don't mind Celine. As I get older, I don't mind it as much.
Yeah, Regis, who wants to be a millionaire, baby? Okay, Brad, we're going to leave it at that. Best of luck with all your bets here this weekend. And, of course, we're going to catch you again on Monday's show, looking ahead to the bets coming up and the fallout from the weekend.
Enjoy the weekend, guys. Good luck.
Yes, sir. See you, buddy. Okay. Cal says, I stood next to Noel Gallagher in my local supermarket, Oasis. Let us know in the live chat, who is the most famous person you have ever met? Let's ask my next guest. Bring him in. I'm guessing some random hockey player, maybe. Who's the most famous person you've ever met? I love asking people. A lot of people don't have.
Thinking about this, I'm like, no. Michael, Carlos 40th met Michael Landsberg.
Okay, our Canadian viewers will know who that is. Yeah, off the record.
Gino Reda was cool to meet. He was there too. He's just like, I don't know, just those TSN icons that you constantly saw on TV. Other than that, no. Like when I was in Taiwan for a long time, like I would meet their professional baseball players who were big there, but like they didn't really come off as stargazing for me, honestly. But no, nothing. I don't know. Now that I got a bridge named after me, maybe I can meet more famous people. Like meeting Kanye in line at Subway and hear him call the worker a sandwich genius is insane.
Yeah, I don't tell that story that often because when I told people like immediately after it happened, I got accused of lying. So for the context of our conversation, though, I think it's worth bringing up. You mentioned this last week. We're going to get into the picks. Why do you have a bridge named after your family?
I don't know. Just my family's been in the community for a long time. Built the ballpark, built the things around it. Big Ingles in the community and Glenn Williams. Big shout out to Glenn Williams on Before You Bet. I think that'll be the first and last time you hear that.
What an honor to have a bridge named after you. That's one of the greatest honors that can be bestowed upon anybody. A bridge. How impressive. Okay, so a couple people weighing in here with their most famous person they've ever met. Jigglypuff says Henry Winkler, the Fonz.
Whoa.
He's been in a couple. He's pretty funny. The comedies that you see him in, he's still pretty good. Mike Conley in an Apple store from 10P Kids. Tom Walton says Bill Walton on vacation. Rest in peace to Bill Walton.
You can tell where that conversation went. Bill Walton. Hey, I'm Tom Walton. Like it would just be so generic. Yeah. And old producer Mick saying Tom Green.
Yeah, we have Jigglypuff also saying Reba.
Oh, Reba McEntire. Woo.
David Robinson, super nice guy. Ben Simmons at a pita pit.
Ben Simmons at a pita pit. Rich, still going. A pita spelled backwards is a tip.
Yeah, I met and shook hands with a former Premier of Canada, Stephen Harper. I was not impressed. Politicians do not impress me in the least. Tons of people at the Arnold Sport Festival. Yeah, I mean, I've been to like a bunch of like card shows and stuff as a kid, and you meet former hockey players and ball players. George St. Pierre, of course, I've got to meet him in person a couple times. A true gentleman. a lot of people think they're going to meet famous people and they're going to be assholes or something like that. A lot of these people are down to earth. I'm sure there's some idiots out there, but
we've had
Calvin
good
Johnson.
conversations with Arash. Arash is a man. Like Madani's massive face for Canadian media as well.
Calvin
Megatron.
Johnson, who was ironically buying a Philly Blunt at a 7-Eleven. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, let's get into the picks here. Week 11. Jingles got off to a great start. Hopefully he can keep that going. I'm going to get us going. Great week for teasers. Oh, my God. Easy to find probably 4 or 5 good teaser legs. My 2 favorites that I am pairing together from the 2 high-profile games here of the weekend. I'm going to pair the Steelers, take them up to +8 with the Chiefs. Or the Steelers up to +9 with the Chiefs up to +8. So the number 1 rule of teasers here, we're crossing key numbers going all the way through the 3 and through the 7. Pittsburgh, let's talk about this leg first. They're going to keep things tight and exploit Baltimore through the air. They have 2 losses just this season of just 3 points each since 2018. 11-3-2 against the spread as a home underdog. So far this season, 3-0 straight up in ATS as an underdog. The big weakness of Baltimore, they stink. Their pass defense, 29th in yards allowed per pass attempt. Baltimore is 8th in this category offensively since Russell Wilson took over. On the Kansas City Buffalo, Kansas City has won 7 straight games outright as an underdog. Go back even further. The Chiefs, you can make a pretty good case if you want to take them at +2. I'm putting them on the teaser, though. 19-4-1 ATS in the last 24 games as an underdog is insane. Bills are a good team. They have beaten up on a lot of bad teams. When they have played good teams, they haven't been that good this season. Of course, they got stomped by Baltimore. They lost by 25. They also had a really sloppy performance in Houston against the Texans before all their guys went down. Kansas City much better on the defensive end here as well. So at the very least, I think Kansas City will keep it close. So Chiefs, Steelers on a teaser. Now you submitted this pick. This guy's going to be on a lot of people's radars this weekend. Big spotlight on Anthony Richardson. I like this bet you got for him.
Motivated, right? Like literally playing for his job. Like he's going to get the full leash. And he's healthy. He's been battling injuries from last year to this year. But this was a guy who had 5 rushing TDs in his first 5 games. He had 4. He cashed this in his first 4 games. After coming back from injury this year, I think he had like a 15 rush performance. Didn't score, but a lot of volume. So this is a spot where we're getting a number at +210, which this was even money back in week 3 versus Chicago. I don't think people realize in this offense what Anthony Richardson can do. We know he can't pass. It's just a matter of how much can they move this offense. And versus the Jets, who missed 20 tackles last week, which was the most by any team in any game this season. And when your interim head coach is saying, what are you guys going to do for practice this week? And he says, we're going to work on tackling. Something's not right in terms of the commitment to tackling and just the commitment on defense for New York. You saw Kyler Murray pop in 2 in the end zone. He had an epic game versus this defense. And I think it's just white flag time for the Jets. So give me Anthony Richardson, revenge, playing for his job. You have to use your tools, and his are certainly not through the air.
A sentence that I didn't think I'd ever utter on this show. 10P kids, Lou Ferrigno, total asshole.
That was the original Hulk, wasn't it?
The bodybuilder. I thought he was very good on King of Queens. I thought he was very funny on that show. But hey, I guess Lou Ferrigno, total asshole when our guy met him in person. Okay, back to the picks here and back to Ravens. Steelers, when you think of this matchup, you think defense, baby. That's not what I'm thinking for the game on Sunday. I'm going to go over this total of 48.5. The Ravens, different team this season. They are the perfect over team. Great offense, multiple ways to move and score. Their defense is brutal, though. As I pointed out, 29th in yards allowed per pass attempt. They're last in pass plays of 20-plus yards allowed. They're 9-1 to the over this season. Average combined score of 57.1 in those games. Look at this Steelers offense. Since Russell Wilson stepped in, they're averaging over 30 points per game. Now, the Steelers defense is good. You know, you're not going to be blown away by them statistically, but you really have to consider the competition that they face this season. It's been a true cupcake schedule for them. Opposing quarterbacks, Bo Nix, Flacco, Aiden O'Connell, Aaron Rodgers, Daniel Jones.
Oh.
They faced a good offense last week in Washington. They allowed 27 points in that game. So I love the over 48, my favorite total bet of the weekend in the NFL. Christian McCaffrey back in action here for the 49ers. What do you like for him this weekend?
Looking at the projections that you can find on covers on NFL projections there, this one's wild because I know where these numbers come from. They come from Cardi's Blitz, and 98% of the time, big name people, everything tends to the under. But all of a sudden, Christian McCaffrey's over is popping at 39 yards. That's the projection. So much that I was looking to see what the 50 plus was. That's plus 350. So thinking about that for sure on the over 27.5 receiving yards. 7 targets, 6 receptions, 68 yards through the air in his debut. Last week, he had his full workload, 89% snap share, 20 of the 22 running back opportunities. He's back. Brandon Ayuk is out. Juan Jennings is dealing with an ankle, midweek pop-up, so those are never good. George Kittle dealing with that hamstring. So all of a sudden, you have CMC getting thrusted back, and he might have to be passing option number 2 versus a not good Seattle defense. He ran 26 routes last week on 42 dropbacks, so he'll be out there. He's back, right? Like over 100 total yards last week. Doesn't have to run the ball if he doesn't want to, and there's a reason why he was 1-1 in draft picks because guy could go for 150 total yards, and 50 of those could come through the air.
Okay, more context on Lou Ferrigno being an asshole here from our MP kids. He says Lou Ferrigno charged $40 for autographs and charged for pictures too. I guess that's how it works when you go to like what is it, that Comic-Con festival. I've never been to one of those, but I think autographs for the most part are extremely overrated. Like if you get a player's autograph on a ball, I have a Joe Carter on a bat here, that's pretty cool. Like a baseball card or something like that. But what are you gonna do with Lou Ferrigno's autograph? Like,
come on, before
Lou,
you badmouth him in the chat. That's what you do.
Badmouth him here on a sports betting program. Okay. We are off to Chicago, and I am taking the Green Bay Packers. Beautiful spot for them against a team they've owned. I like the Packers to cover as a 5-point favorite. So, oh my God, guys, it's getting out of hand. The Packers 10-0 straight up in ATS in the last 10 matchups between these teams. Going even further back, the Packers have gone an insane 22-5 ATS against the Bears since 2011. A really good game situation here for the Packers too. Of course, they're coming off of their bye, and they're not going to be very relaxed, very comfortable coming out of their bye because they're also coming off of a loss. They are 18-10 ATS under Matt LaFleur after a loss. So they're going to be desperate for a victory here. The path to that victory and the cover will come on the road where Chicago is getting killed. Green Bay 3rd in yards per rush attempt. Chicago 28th in yards allowed per rush, especially bad in recent weeks. And these offenses are just miles apart right now. 3rd versus 31st in yards per play. The Bears absolutely crumbling, just reeling right now. And this is the game where they're going to get it back together against a Packers team. Perfect situation for them. So, yeah, I like the Packers a lot. And speaking of this crumbling team, a lot of that crumbling focused on their quarterback, Caleb Williams. What are you looking at for him?
Who doesn't want to fade Caleb Williams right now? It's a fun time to do it. And under 0.5 passing TDs plus 190. This is a soft market that doesn't get a lot of money invested to it. So we're getting a really good number. I don't think the possible benching is not priced in. Matt Eberflus had to come out and say that Caleb Williams is the starting quarterback in week 11. That kind of alludes that there are some questions. And you have like Tyson Bagent, who I think his dad's releasing stuff. I read a tweet. I don't know how real it is, but like there's stuff coming out that the locker room's not great, but it might just be some leakage from Tyson Bagent's arm wrestling dad saying that everything the team wants him to play, but they really don't. So it's just a mess. And then add in a new offensive coordinator, Thomas Brown, who jumped into play calling duties last year at Carolina, took Frank Wright's spot, who started 0-6, took that offense to a paltry 11.4 points per game mark. There's just not a lot to like. And this is hit in 3 straight weeks. Caleb Williams does not have a passing touchdown in 3 straight weeks, Joe. It's absolutely crumbling. And the matchup is awful versus a good quarterback defending coach in LaFleur, who his team defensively has allowed 3 passing TDs to Jared Goff, Trevor Lawrence, and CJ Stroud before the bye. Those names a lot better than Caleb Williams. And plus 190 is a big number.
Yeah, Jon Metler discussed that on his appearance on Wednesday's show, that the Bears locker room, they might be pushing for Bagent to get put in here, the backup. It would be a disaster if they had to bench Caleb Williams, but you got to get to a point where it's like, enough is enough. We need to give this team
a start. They can get away with it by saying you need to watch the game. You know what I mean? Like a hockey player that gets scratched to go up to the box and have to watch the game. It's not like if he gets benched, it's all over for him. We're seeing the Bryce Young revival story. Like there's paths within that, and watching a game might not be a bad thing for a Chicago team going nowhere.
Okay, 2 more NFL picks, NBA segment coming right up. We've been red hot in NBA here this season. Guys, hit up the live chat. What do you like in the NFL? What do you like in the NBA? Let us know where you were watching from as well. Any international viewers tuning in today? Okay, I like another favorite here. Some chalky picks for me. I like the 49ers, -6.5 against those Seattle Seahawks, who they absolutely own. 6 straight wins by an average of 13 points. They played a couple weeks ago. San Francisco dropped 36 points on 7.9 yards per play. Seattle's getting crushed against high-level competition this season. The Lions got them by 13, the 49ers by 12, the Bills beat them by 21. They're really bad against the run here, guys. They're 26 in yards allowed per rush attempt. San Francisco is 3rd in yards per rush, and Christian McCaffrey's only played 1 game for them here this season. And the 49ers, I think, if you're just looking at the final scores, you're probably not very impressed, but I think they're a lot better than these final scores kind of indicate. They beat the Bucs by only 3 points last week. They outgained them by 198 yards. They missed 3 field goals. That was a big issue there. You go back to the game before that, they beat the Cowboys by 6. They outgained them by 177 yards. They were up by 17 points entering the fourth quarter. So I think this could be the game. They could lay the smackdown on them. People maybe will start to take them seriously again as a Super Bowl contender in the second half. This could be a good start for San Fran to get that conversation going again. Okay, bring it home for us here. Gus Bus. What do you like for Gus?
I like the fact that the Chargers are running the ball heavily again and face a defense that's given up almost 100 points over the last 3 weeks. So Gus comes back, missed 2 games, gets 10 carries to J.K. Dobbins' 15, got 4 in the red zone, was more efficient runner than J.K., who has been running to 3.5 yards per carry since week 3. Weeks 1 and 2, J.K. was looking spry, 9.9 yards per carry. It's going downhill for a guy who has battled injuries, and now we're enter week 11, so it's only going to get worse. So we might see something in the marks of a 50-50 split with Gus, who, like I said, is getting the red zone work, is facing a soft defense, and on an offense that has the best neutral run rate in all of football over the last 2 weeks, facing Cincinnati, who, on the season, 51% opponent neutral pass rate. That is the lowest in all of football. Teams are just running on Cincinnati. We saw, and that's mixed. It's different from what everybody looks, right? Everybody sees a ton of deep shots versus Cincinnati and that secondary. But in between those, our teams successfully running against this soft Cincinnati defense. And if it gets silly, like if it's going to go one side, I don't think it's a Cincinnati blowout. There's a chance for a Chargers blowout in this game, depending on how good Joe Burrow is, because if he's not there, that team's awful.
Yeah, good looking game there on Sunday night. Kind of a must-win game for the Bengals here too. So
it's like their 3rd must-win game of the year, basically.
I know, right? Yeah, so we'll look forward to that one. Jingles, that does it for your segment on today's show. You're going to be right back with us on Monday's show to break down Monday Night Football, but let the viewers know what else you have out there that they can check out.
Oh, we got more stacks. We were stacking NHL props last night, almost 8 units, just taking advantage of that. Got some hockey props. If you're betting early this morning, hockey, the early games, the 7 o'clock games, love some overs there. So hit some of that up and enjoy your weekend. That's where I'm at. I'm going to enjoy week 11. Not do anything crazy because it's getting dark, Joe. It's late, and it's almost old man retreat inside and stay warm time because the cold's coming.
Cold and wet. Hopefully you can cozy up to somebody warm here over the weekend, buddy. We will leave it at that, and we'll catch you on Monday's show. Best of luck with your bets
All right,
over
thanks,
the weekend.
Joe. Thanks. Take care.
Yes, sir. Okay, checking in on the live chat. JPC4 says he is watching from Detroit today. Let's go, Detroit. A lot of very likable teams in Detroit these days. How can you not like the Lions? The Tigers were a fun story, so shout out to the city of Detroit. Game day wagers. Our guy, Chris. A little maybe degenerate action if you're into footy, a little soccer. Don't sleep on Nations League. Spain, Denmark, over 7.5 shots on target. Now, that is an under-the-radar play if I have ever heard one. Kale, he likes Cedric Tillman, over 55.5 receiving yards. That's his favorite prop of the week. Chris, where's my guy, Brad? Brad, he opened the show. You could go back and watch a replay and get Brad's insights for college football this weekend. And Tempe kids, Titans, Steelers, Falcons, Chiefs parlay. Why are you putting the Titans on that parlay? Getting a little risky. 30-1 though. It's 31 for a reason. Okay, NBA. Let's go to it. If we're talking NBA, who else are we talking to? It is our expert here. You know, a guy loves the NBA when he's wearing a summer league hat, for God's sakes, you know, just like the instincts to buy an NBA summer league hat. So we almost didn't do an NBA segment on the show tomorrow. It was the one game. It had a 9-point spread. And John says, there's 2 bets I really like. And I said, okay, I will dig and find one too. We end up combining to go 3-0. So it is indeed the return of the Sweet Boys. Sweet Boys, what you going to do? What you going to do when we come for you, Sweet Boys? 3-0 last night. John, your reaction to the game last night. What a matchup, man.
I feel like that does not always happen in betting, because we were even talking about, should we do the NBA prop pick show? Adam Scherher gives out one pick. It wins. It was plus money. Then we were talking about, we talk Jazz Mavericks on this show. We give out 3 picks, all 3 wins. So all 4 bets win. I feel like then you get like a 15-game slate. You're all excited. You get like reverse swept. It's like, it's just betting. It's just hilarious. It was funny that we won every single bet from one game that was like kind of a game, but they all pay the same.
Yeah, so I'm sure there's going to be another day or two, you know, before football season wraps up, where there might be 1 or 2 NBA games, and we might initially look at it and be like, we're covering it.
Yeah,
we got to do a pick either way. Okay, so we have 3 each. Props from you. Spreads and totals from me. Off to a good start this season. I will get us started here. We have the Heat taking on the Pacers in Indiana. My best bet for this game, I'm going to take the over 227.5. Bet that over at BetMGM this morning. So check out Pacers home games here. They've only had 4 of them, but they've seen an average of 245.2 combined points. Couple of those games went to overtime, just for some extra context there, but you get the picture. High scoring games in Indiana is the norm. All 4 of their games did go over this number, and the ones that didn't go to overtime as well. These teams, they played 3 times last season, and they easily topped this number in all 3 of those games. In 2 of the games, they got into the 270s in combined scoring. So they played in some very high scoring games here last season. Plenty of bright spots offensively for these teams. Pacers shooting it pretty good to open the season. 7th in EFG. Miami hot from the lane beyond the arc. They are 5th in 3-point shooting percentage. And I think Miami's going to score any way they want to tonight. They shoot it pretty good from 3. The Pacers are really bad at defending the paint, and they allow a lot of free throws. They allow the 4th most free throw attempts and the 6th most points in the paint. So I'm expecting an over tonight in Indiana. John, your first prop, Devin Vassell.
Yeah, we're going to the BYB points prop right here. Devin Vassell over 14.5 points. So he came back from injury. He's coming off the bench. They said he's going to continue to come off the bench. Is it going to stay like that forever? I don't think so. The thing I do really like about this bet, sitting at 14.5, you have an edge on this number with him playing those bench minutes. It's about 26, 27 minutes. So if I like this number, if he maintains that bench role, but at some point he's going to flip into the starting lineup. And that's just when it, if it's tonight, it could be tonight. That's when your edge will just explode. Because if he gets up into, 33, 34 minutes, you have a massive edge on this number. I do also like this just because, Wembanyama, he's coming off the 50-point performance. He's coming off hitting 8 3-pointers if I'm JJ Redick and you're going to make sure you do not lose Wemby on the 3-point line, you just can't have that happen. So I feel like the focus will obviously be on Wembanyama, and then Vassell is another really good shooter. And I feel like Vassell could get loose a little bit just because the defensive attention should focus to Wemby, and the Lakers only have so many, Anthony Davis is the one who can take away Wemby. So there's only so many good defenders on the Lakers. I just feel like Vassell could be the guy who kind of gets more shots or quality shots. I don't know how long they're going to keep him on the bench. I feel like tonight could be the night he starts. So that's also why I do like this prop.
Yeah, decent looking game. The Lakers have not been good on the road to open the season. So we'll see how that one shakes out here tonight. Okay, let's go to New York, the Battle of New York. And I'm going to take the underdog. The Nets plus 9.5. How about a little bit of goddamn respect? The Nets 9-3 ATS to start the season. Really good on the road too. 5-1 ATS in their road games. The Knicks a bit of a sluggish start, a losing record to start the season. They got some work to do. They already have 5 outright losses as a favorite this season. This is the biggest favorite they've been all season. I don't agree with that. They are 1-6 ATS in their last 7 games as a favorite of 6 or more. That's going back to last season. And look at what the Nets really do play up to the competition here. They've been competitive against some really good teams this season. They went to overtime against both the Nuggets and the Celtics, a 5-point loss in Cleveland versus the undefeated Cavs, a 13-point win in Memphis. This team is scrappy. I'll take them to give them a game and cover that number, plus 9.5. Next up, Nurkic. You were calling him what? Turkic before the show?
A little spell check error on the graphic. I also started laughing when you were barking like a dog because I usually kick my dog outside because she won't miss an opportunity to bark, but she's asleep at my feet right now. So I was like, she can stay. And then you started barking. We got lucky. She didn't wake up. But
okay. I won't do it for my next pick.
Yeah, don't do it again. Might be in trouble here. I'm going Yusuf Nurkic, 3+ assists. So this is actually the alt line. It's sitting about 1.5, like minus 160. I mean, if that's all you have available to you, you can play that as well. The bigger EV is to go for the alt here because it's just with the projections coming in and stuff, he's projected for 2.9. So when you're talking about 2.9 on a 2.5 plus 190, that's a huge edge. His assist numbers aren't great this year under Mike Budenholzer, but there's no Durant, there's no Bradley Beal tonight. They're both out. You're playing the Thunder. They've lost Jalen Williams, Isaiah Hartenstein, Chet Holmgren. They have no size. They're playing small. So if you think, Nurkic should get more touches, if you just think that's how they'd want to attack the Thunder, you have a 7-footer on the inside. They don't. They're playing really, really small. So if you just get more touches, he's going to be surrounded by, Royce O'Neal, guys who are Ryan Dunn, guys who are like catch and shoot guys. So that's who's replacing the Beal Durant minutes. I just think this is kind of really off the pricing, just considering the injuries, the matchup. The one thing I did really like too was, we have a massive edge. When I said 2.9, that's projection. That's at 24 minutes. That's not a lot of minutes for Nurkic. And you've seen games this year where he's played 33, 34. So when you're talking, they don't have size. They don't have Durant. They don't have Beal. Could he get to 30? He probably could, but we don't need it. So I really like this prop on Nurkic. 3+ assists plus 190.
Okay, my last pick of the week, and it comes from the event of the week in sports. This is the game of the week in sports, regardless of the league. Of course, I'm talking about the big Wizards Hawks game in Atlanta, and we are going with the underdog. I will not bark. Give me the Wizards. Plus 9.5 here. Not a lot of people lining up to back the Wizards. I think a pretty good case to back them. This number is too high. So the Wizards are desperate. They absolutely stink. They only have 2 wins this season. But here's the thing. They know they can hang with the Atlanta Hawks. Might be the only team they can hang with. They have 2 wins against them this season. This is the only team they've defeated. They beat them late last season as well. Overall, the last 6 matchups between these teams, the Wizards have gone 5-1 against the spread. The Hawks are an awful bet on their home floor here. They are 1-10 ATS in their last 11 home games. They're not a good bet as a favorite either. They're 5-15 ATS in their last 20 games, favored by 6 or more. They really do play down to the competition. And if you stack cap like I do, I look at trends, game situation, stats. If you're stack capping, there's not much of a statistical gap between these teams. Take a look at the last 10 games. The Hawks are 26 in net rating. The Wizards are 28th. So how do we get to 9.5 here with the Hawks? I know Trae Young might be back here tonight, but I think it's too many points My eyes are going to be glued on this one. I think the Wizards give them a game. Okay, John, final pick of the show, final pick of the week. You were targeting Jamal Murray.
Yeah, Jamal Murray over 5.5 assists. So this one's been all over the place in the market. So it was initially posted, and then it was taken down because Nikola Jokic might be out for personal reasons. And then it got posted back up, and it was 5.5 plus 120. Way wrong, in my opinion, for that pricing. So I hit that, and then it moved. It's kind of moved to about like minus 115, minus 120. I would 100% still play this because this edge is with Nikola Jokic playing. So if Nikola Jokic doesn't play, I mean, you kind of like in basketball, you obviously like Nikola Jokic in because he can convert potential assists, but him not playing and Jamal Murray's usage go up ultimately like supersedes that. So this is the best price right now is 5.5 plus 104. That was right before we came out. It's probably moving still. You're probably going to see other sports books start to open it up. I don't know where they're going to open it, but just because it's not plus 120 anymore, I would still play this because if Jokic is out, then your edge just grows even further. They're playing the Pelicans. I've been trying to find an assist prop against the Pelicans all week. They have, their defense is just depleted. There's just nothing there. Your concern would be, blowout, but this is an NBA Cup game and the Nuggets haven't played yet. The Western Conference is super hard. It's going to be super hard to grab a wild card. So if I'm the Nuggets, I see this as a spot where we can get point differential. And if they can push for point differential, like this is pretty much your only game you're going to be able to do that. So they might just try to blow them out. And this Jamal Murray prop, this was with Jokic and I had the edge, and it was with him playing 32 minutes. That's not a lot of minutes either. So Jokic, I think Murray's been about like 34, 35 this season. So I really like this one. If the best you can find is 5.5 minus 120, I would 100% still play it.
Baby. Okay. Let's recap the picks. If you missed the NFL segment off the top of the show, my best bets for Sunday's NFL games, 6-point teaser, a lot of good teaser spots this week. I'm going to pair the Steelers and the Chiefs. We like the over 48.5 between Ravens and Steelers. That's my favorite total bet of the weekend in the NFL. Then we're going chalky here. The Packers, they're going to teach the Bears a lesson in respect here, -5, and 49ers -6.5. Jingles went with Anthony Richardson. I like this bet. Anytime touchdown +210. Christian McCaffrey over 27.5 receiving yards. Caleb Williams, I like this bet too. Under half a touchdown pass +190. And Gus Edwards anytime +230. Taking some swings there. We go to the NBA tonight. Devin Vassell over 14.5 points for Metler. He likes Nurkic. +190, 3+ assists. Jamal Murray over 5.5 assists. I went Heat Pacers over 227.5. Then a couple of dogs here, both at +9.5. Nets and Wizards. There we go. What a great week of shows we had this week. We have a lot of great content up right now on the Covers YouTube channel. So you're going to want to make sure you are subscribed. Hit that button right down there. If you're watching on YouTube, a lot of big fights here this weekend. I covered the big ones here with George St. Pierre. I interviewed him on Tuesday. That video is up right now. We're talking about this Mike Tyson, Jake Paul fight going down tonight on Netflix. And we have the UFC 309 pay-per-view, the return of John Jones. So you should check out that video. The Grey Cup, for those of you who watch Canadian football, that game is going down on Sunday. We have a betting preview up for that as well. The guys have their live college football show tomorrow morning. You're going to want to check that out for some up-to-the-minute information and bets from them, covering everything that there is to cover in the world of sports betting. John, any closing words for the viewers here?
Good luck with your bets. Enjoy the fight. I'm not much of a boxing person, but I am kind of intrigued to see how this plays out. I know you're saying you like them to go over 5 rounds or go the distance. So is that the same thing? I don't know.
Yeah, over 5 rounds. Well, it's an 8-round fight. If you want to play it safer, you could go over 5.5 rounds. Someone said it's up to 6.5 now. I bet it to go decision earlier in the week. I think that there's a potential that there's a gentleman's agreement in place potentially, because Mike Tyson, they canceled the fight the first time around because he was having medical issues. He's 58 years old. So I think it might be a bit of a spar. They're there to make money. It's as simple as that here. It's a professional bout. Bankroll on Jake Paul. Yeah, Jake Paul is probably going to win. It's like a 30-year age gap. He's carrying a lot more weight, though. They're using bigger gloves. I think they could each be pretty gassed a couple rounds into this thing. So if somebody ends it, they're going to end it early. But I don't know if the boys are going to be out there throwing haymakers here tonight. Okay, so we will leave it at that. Great week of shows. We're going to be right back with you guys on Monday Night Football, college football at Brad, NBA. So make sure you tune in then. So thank you to all of my guests for joining today and this week. Thank you to producer Mick, working very hard for us. Did a great job producing the show today. Thank you to BetMGM. Make sure you check them out for all your sports betting needs. And thank you to all the great viewers for tuning in today and this week. Best of luck with your bets tonight and this weekend. We'll see you guys again on Monday. Yeah, let's go Dolphins!